Hey William, another section of Uncle Max Teaches Piano. I thought maybe we'll work on the second page and see if we can do both hands. And again, this is pretty challenging. I don't know if you're doing both hands together right now or not. But if you are and you want to try, take a little look at this. If I just look at the top two measures of the second page, the right hand is going first finger, I'm sorry, first finger and thumb, then thumb and five. Remember in the parallel motion. Okay, so if we put our second finger on the E and our thumb is going to be ready for the D, our left hand is on the E, and these are the eighth notes. So you have one and two and three and four and see those two hands move in opposite motion. Your right hand goes up, your left hand goes down. So the two hands again together goes. You have your first finger on the E, and on your left hand you got your little finger on the E. So you go 1, 2, and 3 and 4. Now you're moving parallel. I'm sorry. When you get there with your left hand, it goes 1, 2. You have your you first of all. Two notes that you end up with. So again, we start with our first finger on the E and our middle finger on the E, and two, and okay, that's the top, that's the first measure there. Okay, one, you start again, 1, 2, and you move your hand parallel, and you're coming down, and you're going like that. 1, and with our pinky on here. We're starting we're playing a chord in our left hand. When we get here, we're getting three notes: D, F, and A. Going D, F, and A. And your right hand is going 2 and 3 and 1. Now that first note there is a dotted quarter note, and what a dot does to a note, any note that you put a dot behind, it takes the value of the note and it takes half of that value and it adds it to it. So if the note is worth 4 beats and you put a dot behind it, half of 4 is 2. So you would add 2 to the 4 and you'd get 6. Bad adding, Uncle Max. 6 beats. Okay, if you would add 4 to 2. If the note is worth 2 beats, half of 2 is 1. So you take 2 plus 1, and it would be now worth 3 beats. If the note is worth 1 beat, half of 1 is a half. So a dotted quarter note, which is 1 beat, is worth 1.5 beats. Do you understand that? And the way it normally works when you take a note and you put a dot behind it is if I have 4 beats in a measure, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? And say I make the first note a dotted quarter note. I take half of the value of that quarter note and I'm going to add it to it. So now it's worth 1.5 beats. And then that other half beat that's left over is like the value of an eighth note. So you would have 1.5 beats and then another half that you stick in there for the eighth note. So you have 1. And remember when I broke the beat in half and I went from a quarter note to an eighth note, I went 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Now if I dot the quarter note, it's now worth 1 and 2, the first half of the second beat, and then the second half of that second beat is the end. So that would be where an eighth note is, which is what we have in this measure. We have a dotted quarter note followed by an eighth note, which is 1 and 2, and. That's the 8th note there. So you go 1 and 2 and 3, 4, which is what that measure is. The first measure of the second line on the second page starts with a dotted quarter note, 1 and 2 and 3, 4. I'm sorry, it goes down. It goes down. Okay, so when we get to that first measure of the second line, the right hand is going here. Oh, they have fingers marked there. Oh my goodness, I didn't. Uncle Max's eyes are not what they used to be. I'm sorry, William. If I told you wrong, then we're going to have to straighten this out here. So we have 4, and then a thumb on that one. Thumb. Oh, then they say 3. I see, goes to that. Then 2 and 3. Then 1 and 5. 5, 1, and there have you cross there. 3. I see. They have you cross your fingers there. See, they have the numbers above the nose. Uncle Max is a beginner. I'm sorry if I led you wrong. We'll straighten it out. We'll get it right. Okay. So if we look at the top of the page, they have you on the E. It says a 3 here. 3, then 2 and 3, then 1 and 5, 1 and 5, 1 and 5, 1 and 5, 4, thumb, 2, 3. Then you shift your hand to a 3 there. 3, then 2 and 3, then 1 and 5. Sorry, Uncle Max's camera just fell down. We'll take a break here, okay? We'll take a break. I'll come back. If I can figure out how to stop the camera, I will.